I'm Julie Hooper, and I'm pleased to take a few minutes to share with you our campaign progress to date and a little bit about important dates that are coming up and ways you can be even more involved as volunteers. First, I'm really pleased to share with you that we have experienced record-breaking fundraising at Berkeley each of the past 2 fiscal years, and we feel we are very much on track to continue this trend as we progress in the campaign. You can see, I think we've got a slide that's going to pop up, that we've got really good numbers in terms of gifts and pledges. Over 570,000 gifts have been made. 2.8 billion plus has been raised in the silent phase, and 163,000 unique donors have made gifts. We're very excited about this. The totals raised, the dollar totals, and the total number of gifts, the base, are both up. And that success, of course, is due to our donors, first and foremost, and of course the work of our staff and our faculty and our deans and our campus leadership and volunteers like all of you, so thank you. I always say, Carol's heard me say this and John says this too, campaigns and fundraising are a team sport. And I really look forward to working with all of you, and I appreciate the ones of you that I already work with. We have a great team. So to date, we've raised $2.83 billion, as I said, in the silent phase of the campaign. That's what we call the Nucleus Fund. We know from experience that having a campaign public launch date and a deadline can help us with speeding up the closing of major gifts, and we are certainly seeing that this fall. Our activity for our fundraisers is very, very busy. The chancellor is very, very busy. The deans are very busy, and this is a good thing. And we are very committed to making the most between now and the calendar year end, and of course the weeks in early 2020 leading up to February 29th. I feel certain we will be at $3 billion. I believe we will be over $3 billion. We project we could be as high as $3.2 billion come February 29th to go public with a $6 billion campaign goal. On the next slide, I think we've got something that shows, here we go, that shows you fiscal year to date. One thing I'll note about fiscal year 20, year to date looks a little low compared to last year, but we have not yet booked the Sandy and Joan Weil amazing pledge that you read about this week, and so that number's gonna go up pretty significantly in the next few days. 75% of our giving comes from alumni, friends, and parents, which you all represent, and certainly foundations and corporations are very important too. You can see this slide of who's giving, and you can see the alumni, friends, and parents are certainly the large majority in terms of the total. And we know from our work with Marts and Lundy with John and Lynn Heinrich, who's here as well, that it's not that foundations and corporations aren't important, but when you look at the whole of philanthropic giving in the United States, it's individuals where you're seeing the growth. And certainly donor-advised funds have become a very popular way for our donors to give, and they have for other institutions as well, and I anticipate they'll be extremely important in this campaign. They already have been. Let me talk a little bit about our volunteer structure for the National Campaign Steering Committee. Up on this slide are the members of the steering committee as of today. We had our first steering committee meeting this morning. You can see our co-chairs. Carol introduced them earlier, as well as the full committee. We will be meeting with them 3 times a year, and we will have monthly check-ins with our co-chairs. This group is going to very much serve as a very close advisor group to Chancellor Christ and to myself. They're going to provide, and they already have provided, critical input on our campaign strategy, our direction, our priorities, some of the difficult questions that we face as a campus in this campaign. These members, their role is really to serve as spokespersons, to give us advice, to review prospect lists, make introductions and connections for us, and host and attend our campaign events as well, and many other things too, but those are some of their key functions. We're really grateful for the members of the National Campaign Steering Committee. I'd like to just quickly give them a little round of applause to say thank you so much. So speaking of events, let's talk a little bit about upcoming events. We will have the campaign launch here on Saturday, February 29th. We will then roll out regional campaign launch events in Southern California on May 27th, New York, June 10th, and in Singapore, October of 2020. Thank you, Isabel Ree, for the wonderful suggestion of Singapore. We're very excited about this. We don't have the date yet, but it's going to be a wonderful campaign launch. These are not going to be your standard gala experience. These are going to be very much focused on storytelling through live interactions, multimedia interactions. It's going to be an immersive and interactive campaign launch event with a lot of self-directed exploration, meeting with our faculty and students. Certainly, the flow of the Berkeley launch, which I can tell you a little bit more about right now. It'll start here at 5:30. We'll be on campus. We will, of course, have cocktails and yummy nibbles, and we will have campaign programming and then the exploratory dinner program, which again will be immersive, interactive. They'll be moving around. There'll be a lot of things to do that are interesting. And of course, the dress is blue and gold. Tuxedos. No, I'm kidding. We really hope that you'll be here for the campaign launch on campus, but if you can't be here or if you are in another part of the United States or Asia and you'd like to join us for one of the other regional events, you are certainly welcome at them. And if you want to get your card stamped, you can attend all 4. And then maybe we enter you in for a raffle. I don't know, Carol, we'll think about that. So I'd like to talk just a little bit about volunteer opportunities for all of you. I have to say in my breakout session, Nadine asked everybody to go around and talk about what groups they represent on campus, and it seemed like no one only represented one group. They were all doing 2, 3, 4 things. It was very impressive and exciting, and thank you for that. We really would love for you to be at the campaign launch events, but we would love for you to be at other campus events as often as you can be. And if you're out of town, we really would love for you to join us for the regional events. We've been doing more and more of them, especially in Southern California, Asia, and New York. We have things like Discover Cal. I hope all of you know about Discover Cal. This is our series that takes our faculty on the road. Of course, we have Reunion and Homecoming Weekend every October. We have alumni chapter events in partnership with CAA, and then the campaign launch events. We hope that you'll help us ask. As a volunteer, you certainly have the ability to engage your network of alumni and friends and parents in a conversation about supporting Berkeley. And if that's something you're not as comfortable doing and you want to talk about how to do it, we have lots of staff that would be happy to walk through that with you. And it's not something you have to do. You can also ask to introduce someone to someone on campus who can tell them more about giving opportunities. All of you philanthropically give, you support the university, and by showing your support, you give credibility to the importance of giving back to Berkeley. And I think in our breakout session, I heard we had such a good conversation. Thank you for the feedback, everybody. But there was a sense of why now? It's time to step up and help this institution that you all care about so deeply. And that was a very powerful message back from the people in the room. You're saying this to others in your network is the best thing that can happen for us to reach out to our 500,000 living alumni around the world and our many parents and friends. We also want to just, it's funny that I'm saying this, that every Berkeley unit and department has an external advisory board or committee dedicated to advancing their goals, because almost all of you are serving on at least one of those, and they're very important. When we put this invitation together for the Volunteer Summit, and again, it's the first time we've ever done something like this, we invited over 800 volunteers when we pulled together all the unit advisory boards and chapter leadership. It was really a very impressive group, and you all are an impressive group. So we're, continuing to look to strengthen our advisory councils and our volunteer boards, so we also seek your feedback on what we could do better. And then I would like to also just encourage all of you to be involved with the CAA, the Cal Alumni Association. There's so many things that they do that you may or may not know about: the scholarship selection, student engagement, networking with current students, the Berkeley Network, which is about career mentorship and career services, the chapters, of course, and advocacy, which is extremely important. One last thing to share is we've created a volunteer handbook. We haven't had something like this, at least not in recent years. You have a draft of the volunteer handbook in your packet of materials. We really welcome your feedback on this. Ultimately, our goal is to have a volunteer webpage that goes up prior to February that will be accessible to all of you, and we will put the updated volunteer handbook on there. There's an email address on the draft that you have. You can share your feedback with us via email. I will also be here at the reception from 5 to 6, and I would love to hear your thoughts and feedback about the volunteer handbook and anything else that you'd like to share with me. And then one last thing I'd like to give the plug for is and we talked about this in our breakout session too, social media. I know not all of you use social media, but it's a great place to really show your Cal pride. And for those of you who do, I want you to know that we have something called the Social Media Ambassador Program. You can check this out at ambassador.berkeley.edu. We send out material, information, stories to our social media ambassadors. We have hundreds of them now. And they curate this information and they put it up on their own feeds with their own sort of stories about why they find something compelling. This has become a very powerful tool for us. Please also, if you're on Twitter, you can follow us at Cal on Twitter. If you're on Instagram, you can follow us at UC Berkeley. And if you're on LinkedIn, please be sure to put the University of California, Berkeley in the education section of your LinkedIn profile. I think that's everything, and I think my time is up, but I wanted to just again say I'll be here. I really look forward to hearing from you. If we don't get a chance to talk at the reception, feel free to shoot me an email. We really are so grateful that you spent your Friday afternoon with us. Thank you very much. Fiat Lux. Go Bears.